on the choice board, okay, I just passed it back. I want you to flip it open to the inside, okay? You will see one or two things for a grade. For this, at the top, first thing you will see is a fraction with a denominator of 15. Okay? This one was out of 15 points. If you got 15 out of 15, that means that you completed 5 squares, which was the assignment. Okay? If you see like 16 out of 15, that means you completed 2 extra squares. If you completed more than 2 extra, more than 7 squares, you would have an additional thing out here to the side that looks like that. Like it might say 16 out of 15 plus 1. Because what I decided to do, all of your grades are separated into 2 parts. Does anybody know what your 2 parts of your grade are? Emma? Assessments and assignments. And what it is, each one kind of keeps a running total. So like if on the first assignment you got an 8 out of 10. I'm just going to kind of write it like that. And on the second one you got a 10 out of 12. In the computer, your grade is 18 out of 22. It just kind of keeps a running tally. It adds up all the points you got and the total points. It does that for assignments, which is like in-class stuff, weekly worksheets, homework assignments. It also has a whole separate score like that for tests and quizzes. Okay, which ones affect your grade the most? Tests and quizzes. They take up 60% of your grade. The assignments are 40%. What's 60 plus 40? 100, because that accounts for 100% or all of your grade. So what I decided to do on this, if you just did 2 extras, you got 1 point extra credit added to this assignment, so it was an extra credit point on your assignment score. If you did more than 7, if you have a plus whatever out here to the side, I created in Teacheries a separate entry, and I made that one go towards your test, okay, your test score. So let's say in your Teacheries, your overall test average was 85 out of 86. I'm just making something up. This one was in Teacheries, it'll show it's out of 0 points. Why would it show out of 0 points? Because it's extra credit. So if you got like a plus 1 out here to the side, it would just make that 86 out of 86. It's adding 1 point to your total that you had as in your test scores. Okay, and these have all been in Teacheries since last week. I just haven't given them back and explained that yet. Okay? Anybody have questions? If you marked some, and when I went in IXL and looked, I tried to circle the ones that I did see and X out the ones that I didn't. If you thought you had more and you have questions, you can come ask and I can show you what I see in Teacheries. Some of you had, like on the ones that you were supposed to get a SMART score of 60, you got to a SMART score of like 49, which isn't there, so I couldn't give it to you. Okay? So questions on the choice board. Okay, next pull out last week's weekly worksheet. There's a couple of these I want to go over. Because they were new. I want to talk about these two. Okay, and I did see lots of different strategies. I could see where some people were trying to like count them. You could see the dots. One strategy that I liked, especially for when this is new, is people were counting kind of the columns, the up and down columns, and that is a good strategy. So let's go ahead and do these two that way. I'm going to start right here in the front. How many blocks are right here in this column?
1.
Just 1. So I'm going to put a 1 above it. What about this back column here?
2.
There's 2. How do we know there's 2 even though we can't see 2? Colby? Yeah, they can't float, okay? There has to be 1 under it for it to sit on. What about the next column, Dylan?
3.
This one right here.
3.
3. Arabella, what about that back one?
5.
How do you know it's 5?
Because the one beside it is 3, and then there's 2 more blocks.
Yeah, and you could almost count over here to the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because there'd have to be some next to those 3. Caleb, what about this column right here?
That's 3.
That one's 3. We can see those. Callie, what about right here?
1.
1 and then another 1. And then we just have to count up all of our totals. So we have 5. I'm going to mark them as I count. 5, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So this one was 16 cubic units. And now Aubrey, I'm going to pick on her. There were about 8 Aubreys though. When I look at the snapshot, so like when you guys all submit a quiz, it shows me like kind of a generalization of how well people did. And when I looked at Aubrey's, it was like, ooh, she did terrible. Till I look at it. Her score was terrible. Do you agree with that?
It was 3 out of 12.
It was 3 out of 12, okay? She got more than 3 correct, but when she entered her answers, and again, there were probably 8 to 10 Aubreys. I mentioned this in the other class, just no one came forward and admitted that it was them. Aubrey, plus a lot of other Aubreys, entered this into IXL. What is wrong with that? Cam, you were an Aubrey, weren't you? Okay, Cam was an Aubrey. Chloe, what's wrong with that?
You put 2 labels?
Yeah, you had the label twice. On IXL, the label was already there. So all you had to enter was 16. And when I graded these, that's the stuff I look for. Because I can tell you, hey, if there's a label there, don't put it a second time. And a lot of people wrote like U3, like a big 3. That's not the same thing as an exponent. So kind of general rule, if you can't enter the exponent, if there's not a button to make that number pop up high like an exponent, either type out the word cubic units or look and see if it's already there. Because on this one, a lot of you put 16 units cubed cubic units. Okay, so you were just very redundant. You gave the label twice. But you did your math correctly, so I gave it to you. But I wanted to make sure I pointed that out because, again, on IAR, there's not somebody going back and seeing, oh, she typed in the label and we gave the label. They do try and make it to where if they just want a number answer, they won't let you type in like other letters, but not all the time. So always just be careful and see if a label is already given to you, and then you don't have to type it, okay? Let's go ahead and look at the next one, the volume of this object. Let's kind of do it the same way. Grayson, can you tell me how many are in the tallest row? The tallest column. How many? The tallest
5.
one. 5. How do you know there's 5? Because we can only see 3. Yeah, because for those 3 to be that high, there have to be 2 more under it. Easton G, give me this row right here, this column. 2. Good job. Let's do that back row, Drake. This one right here. How many are back there? No, we're just doing one column at a time. Emma? 2. Okay, Zach, what about this column? 2. Waylon, what about this one right here? 1, that one's 1. Now, did I skip any? That's the hard part about doing it this way is sometimes we just forget some. Dylan, which ones did I miss?
The front columns?
Yeah, this one right there and that one right there. So when you're doing this, and this is where on a computer it's harder. Sometimes you can use like a markup tool on a computer, but somehow like mark them to where you know you've already counted them, because that's a common error, is just forgetting some of them. So yes, if we add all of these together, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 15. And it is 15 cubic units, not 15 units cubed, cubic units. Okay, those were the 2 I wanted to talk about on front. Does anybody have any other questions about those ones? About any from the front side? Any from the front side? No? Okay. Go ahead and flip it to the back. There's a couple on back I want to talk about. I will say number 10, I had lots of people give me 5/12. Who can tell me why that is not correct? Zach?
Because you only added to the top number, not the bottom.
Yeah, when we're adding and subtracting, we have to find that common denominator so that we are able to add and subtract the numerator. So once we get them the same, we leave them alone. When do we do math on the top and the bottom? Emma?
Only multiply and divide.
Just multiplying, because we don't divide fractions. We multiply by the reciprocal. We change it to multiplication. Okay, so just multiplication.
Why did you put a 4?
What? Because it was times 2 times 2. I skipped the work. I just went to the last step. Because a lot of people had this. They knew they had to find a common denominator. They just forgot how to add fractions. Okay, the one I want us to do together, if you miss number 9, I want you to work it with us down at the bottom. So if I had number 9 circled on your paper, that means you missed it. If you miss number 9, I want you to work it down at the bottom. How do we find the area of a rectangle, Rory? Length times width. Okay? So we take 4 1/3 times 2 1/3. There were lots of common wrong answers. Okay? Here is a list of common wrong answers that I saw. 8 1/9, 6 1/9. How did I get those two answers? Because those are both incorrect. Colby?
You're supposed to keep the other sides of the same letter, or just those two.
What'd you say?
If they mess up on the black one, it only shows the 2 and 1/3 on one side. Do they need to put it on the other side?
Nope, they don't need to put it on both sides. If I was finding perimeter, I would have to add it twice to find the distance around. But to find area, we just take length times width. Callie, what did they do wrong to get one of these answers?
They did 4 times 2, or they did 4 plus 2.
Yeah. So they either added the whole numbers or multiplied the whole numbers and then multiplied the fractions. Multiplying fractions is easy. Multiplying mixed numbers is not that easy. I wish it were that easy, but it is not. Before we multiply fractions, Chloe, what must we have?
You have to have 2 fractions.
Yeah, we have to have 2 fractions, and that's for multiplication and division. Caleb, how do I turn 4 1/3 into a fraction?
You multiply by 3 and then add 1.
Okay, what's 3 times 4 plus 1?
13.
13 thirds times. Tyson, what is 2 1/3 as a fraction? How do I change that to a mixed number? Seven thirds, yep, because we'd take 3 times 2 plus 1. Now, in the perfect world, we could cross cancel and make this a little bit prettier looking. Can we cross cancel anything? No, so we would have to do 13 times 7. Are we capable of doing 13 times 7?
Yeah.
Yep. And we would get 91/9. That's not a terrible answer, but is it the best answer? No, we can do long division, and here's where a lot of people goofed up on this one too. 91 divided by 9. What are we trying to figure out? How many times 9 goes into what? How many times does 9 go into 91? 10 times. But here's what a lot of people did. They showed a 1, 0, they dropped the 1, and they knew 9 didn't go into 1, so they gave me an answer of 1 1/9. What should they have done? Kylie?
They should have added a 0 up there because 9 goes into 1, 0.
Yeah, I dropped the 1, so I have to show 9 goes into 1 0 times. But again, turn on your common sense brain for a second. You guys all know that 9 goes into 91 10 times. How many are left over? 1. 10 1/9. Okay, that was probably the most missed problem on this. But again, multiplying mixed numbers, we tried to make it too easy. A lot of people just tried to make it too easy.
I accidentally added it.
Okay, any other questions from the back side? No other questions from that? Okay, set that one aside. Do you have a question about it? 55/8 was correct. 8 times 6 is 48. Did you just rework that? So that one was correct. Did I count that one as wrong? Maybe you entered it incorrectly? I can look online. Remind me in just a second. I'll check it, okay? Okay, yes. Which one?
This one.
Okay, let's do the 7/8 minus 4/5. Is that what you?
I did not.
10 and 1/9. Well, maybe you entered it incorrectly then, is the only thing I can guess. Okay, let's go to, what was it, this one? Okay, what is a common denominator for 8 and 5? 40. So I'm going to turn them both into 40. So times 5 times 5. 5 times 7 is 35. Times 8 times 8. 4 times 8 is 32. 35 minus 32 is 3. You did 8 minus 5, 7 minus 4. That's what you did. Okay. Any other questions on those ones? Arabella? Number 7. So on that one, what was it? 7.3 times 1.3? 7.3 times 1.3?
When you give these to your parents, give them a hug and a kiss with it.
Okay.
School's growing, we need their help.
Thank you.
You're
They're still hot.
out of breath.
How do we multiply decimals? How do we multiply decimals? Callie?
You forget about the decimal point.
We forget the decimal point for a second. So Mila, what two numbers am I going to be multiplying here?
13 and 73.
13 times 73. Which one would I probably want to put on top, Noelle?
73.
73. So I'm going to do 73. 73 times 13. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 7 is 21. Here's where a lot of people goofed up. You forgot the 0 because you're multiplying by 10, not 1. But then 1 times 3 is 3. 7 times 1 is 7. Now, after I ignore the decimal points for a second, how do I decide where they go in my answer? Dylan?
Since there's two numbers behind the decimal point, that's how many times the decimal point.
Yeah, I count them up right here. There's 1, 2 decimal places in the problem, 1, 2 in my answer. Okay. Okay. Pull out last night's homework. Just set them aside for a sec. You'll have time to put them all away in a minute. What did you struggle with last night? Were there any questions on last night? Because everybody had different problems. So I can't give you the exact answers to all of the problems, but I can answer questions that you may have had as you were working. Kylie.
I didn't have a question, but I used the models on the front too.
Okay, that's fine. It's just models take a while, and the ones you do today, models are hard.
I don't like models.
Yeah, they just take longer.
I like the front better because I think it takes less time.
Okay?
But then the models help like they kind of go.
Okay. So any questions? Hey guys, we're not chit-chatting. We still have things to do. Any questions over how to do last night's, or any of them that you kept missing and you couldn't figure out why? Are you using that? No questions? Okay, so now on your piece of loose leaf, we're just going to jump right in because we're doing the same stuff today. So on your loose leaf for today, go ahead and just title it Divide Fractions. We're just going to do more of yesterday's stuff, but with non-unit fractions, so fractions that aren't unit fractions. Who can tell me the rule for dividing fractions? Not the trick, the rule. It's 4 words. 4 words. Dylan? It's not a.
You flip.
Nope, you're giving me the trick. I don't want the trick, I want the rule. 4 words. Emma,
Multiply by the
you multiply by the reciprocal. Now, those are fancy words, okay? Who can explain to me what is a reciprocal? Waylon?
It's a fraction when you just flip it upside down.
Yeah, it's when you flip a fraction. When you flip a fraction. So we multiply by the reciprocal. That is our rule. What does that mean? What's our trick to help us remember what that means? Caleb?
KFC.
KFC. What does KFC stand for? Or who can tell me what the K stands for? Brennan? Callie?
I forgot. Keep the first fraction the same.
Keep the first fraction the same. Michaela, what does the F stand for?
Flip fraction.
Flip the second fraction. And Colby, the C?
Change the sign to multiply.
Change the sign to multiplication. So we're not dividing, we multiply by the reciprocal, which keep the first one, flip the second, change the sign. Grayson, give me a fraction. Any fraction that doesn't have a 1 in it. 3/4. So first example we're going to do is 3/4 divided by, Emma Lott, give me a fraction that doesn't have a 1 in it. 4/6. Okay, so this one would be really hard to model, so we have to know how to do the math. Sophia, what is my rule? 4 words. What is my rule? Arabella, help her out. Multiply by the reciprocal. Aubrey, what is my trick? 3 letters. 4 words, 3 letters to help us remember. K, what does the K stand for? Audrey? Keep what? Keep the first fraction the same, so we drop it straight down. Colby, what does the F stand for? Flip the second fraction, and you're correct, to 6/4. Michaela, what does the C stand for?
Change the division symbol to
Yeah, change the sign to multiplication. Now we have a multiplication problem, which we all agreed was easy. What can I do here to make my life easier? Emma, E. I could multiply straight across, but what else could I do before that? Waylon, help her out.
You could simplify 6.
Yeah, so we could cross reduce diagonally. I'm going to reduce them both by 2. So we would have 3 halves, or 3/2, times 3/4. Is there anything else I can cross reduce? Nope. Mila, how do I multiply 2 fractions?
you go over. So 3 times 3.
So numerator times numerator, and
Denominator times.
good job. Brennan, is that a good final answer?
No, it's not.
Nope. Only if it says if it says you can leave your answer as an improper fraction, stop. Because sometimes do we mess up right here?
Yes.
Yeah, we did all of that correctly. So always pay attention. If it says enter your answer as an improper fraction, enter your answer as an improper fraction. Okay? We know that's not the best answer, but is it a correct answer? Yes. Okay? What does that reduce to? Dylan?
1
1
1/8.
and 1/8. Good job. Okay, and that's how your problems tonight are. Is that really much different?
No.
Okay, I'm going to show you the hardest kind of problem you could potentially see, but I don't think you'll even see one of these on like 5th grade IAR. Maybe just in 5th grade math class, because I tend to push you a little bit. Caleb, give me a mixed number that the whole number is 5 or below. And 3, and I'm going to make your life easier and reduce that to half. 2/4, 1/2. Zach, give me a mixed number where the whole number is 2 or 1. He has a brain. Let him use it. 2 and 2/3. Okay? So dividing mixed numbers. We said the first rule, or the first thing was we had to have what, Colby? It's very similar to multiplying. Not yet. We're not, Aubrey? We have to have 2 fractions. We have to have 2 fractions. So let's turn them into improper fractions. Madison, what is 3.5 as an improper fraction? 7 over 2. And all I'm doing is I'm just converting the improper or mixed to improper, so I'm leaving it as a division sign. Cam, what is 2 and 2/3 as an improper fraction? 8/3. Okay, good job. 8/3. Now that I have 2 fractions, Easton G, what is my rule for dividing fractions? Nope, that's adding and subtracting. And I know I'm throwing lots of rules at you. Kylie? Hold on, that's the trick. What's the rule? 4 words. Trick is 4 words, or sorry, the rule is 4 words. The trick is 3 letters. Chloe, give me the rule.
Multiply by the reciprocal.
Kylie, give me the trick.
KFC.
KFC. So multiply by the reciprocal, but when you hear that, I want you to think, oh, KFC. So keep the first, flip the second, change the sign to multiplication. Pause, see if we can cross reduce. Can we? No. Nope. So we multiply straight across. 7 times 3 is 21. 2 times 8 is 16. Let's just do this without writing out the long division. Noelle, how many times does 16 go into 21? Think about that. If I went to divide this, there's 1. There's only 1 16 and 21. How many would be left over if I only had 1? Dylan? 5, because 16 to 20 is 4 plus 1 more. And then what's my denominator? 16. Okay, so we can still do long division. I'm just trying to shorten it. Now, was that problem really much harder? No, we had to learn a lot of things to get to this point. So we've spent a lot of time going mixed to improper, improper to mixed. Brennan, you with me? Yeah. Okay. But on tonight's homework, you don't even have any of those. Okay? You have 10 problems that all look like that. Do you want me to do more examples, or you think you're good? Good. Okay. So I'm going to pass out the worksheet. I'm just going to explain it before I start passing it out. There are 10 problems on the front. Audrey, Waylon, you with me? Okay. 10 problems on the front. They leave you space to work across. I'm not a big fan of working across because I know what students do. They copy numbers wrong. It's for some reason it's easier for you guys to look like copy numbers down than across. Don't know why. I just know that's the way it is. So if you think you can work it on the front, that's fine, but the whole back is wide open and you could work the problems on the back. Should you have work somewhere for all 10 problems? Yes. Okay, any questions? Okay, I'll pass this out and you guys have the rest of the time to work.